So how you doing? First question everyone wants to know is, what is, and could you give us a little history on baseball cards?
They can take quite a while.
Yeah.
But,
Summarize.
this afternoon, a woman came into the shop, and she was desperately looking for baseball cards for her grandson. She didn't know anything about it, but she walks in and says, "Do you have any baseball cards?" But a few years ago, there were no shops where you would walk into and say those things. 100 years ago, when this craziness started, it was in tobacco. And you could go into the entire industrial revolution, but as tobacco was produced in a lot of cigarette companies, they were looking for a reason for people to buy one cigarette or another cigarette, and they started putting little baseball cards in the cigarette packages. And that's the way it continued clear through the 1970s. People were still buying candy or bubble gum, or now you can buy detergent or macaroni and cheese or popcorn, and one of the reasons you buy that product is to get the baseball cards along with it. But people now buy baseball cards. They have value as baseball cards.
How did you personally get interested in the hobby?
That's my son's fault. He's 10 years old now, but 3 years ago when he was 7, we bought a Chicago Cubs team set. And that was 1984, which is when the Cubs won the mini pennant. And had traded for everybody during the year, so we had to buy a traded set, and we just kept buying from there.
And that traded set's pretty valuable now, so that was pretty...
Yeah, that traded set sells for $70 or something like that. That shows you...
What'd you buy it for?
$8.
So, how did you get interested in, like, making a store out of the hobby?
I think that was Chuck's idea. We're not quite sure how this
Chuck,
happened, but Chuck Bisher, who's my partner in this venture, and he lives in Washington as well, and used to teach and coach at Washington, and now is at Peoria High School. I was helping him catch up cards for his son, and in the course of things, he looked at all this interest in people, and he said, "What if we had a little shop on the side?" And it's got a little crazier since then because everybody's interested in baseball cards.
Has the business been pretty good?
It's been surprising. People's interest in cardboard is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what people always tell me. How can you spend that much money on a piece of cardboard?
It's a lot of fun, and there are a lot of different parts to it. I brought along one of the earlier tobacco cards. I don't know that people will be able to see it, but this is from the early 1900s, and I don't know if you want to. People are familiar with cards. If you could see, it was a lot different the way they were packed in then. But there would be cards now. If I look at cards from the 50s and 60s, I remember trading those cards.
Yeah.
And I can remember, my friends' rooms that we were trading them in, and it gives you a warm, nostalgic feeling, just like the 60s music does for people. And parents know how hard it would be for them to go back and buy those same cards they traded away. Cards that it cost a nickel a package for the cards you can get, and all you got it was at the corner. Galleons was the name of our place. It was a little grocery store. It'd be like Lindy's now, except smaller. And there was just no place to get baseball cards, so you had a few baseball cards. To go back and reconstruct that would cost hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So parents are involved as well, and we get adults in their 40s and 50s and they're spending money to reconstruct their youth. And fathers realize that if they get their sons and their daughters to do the same thing now, they'll have that. They won't have lost that. So I think that's one reason people are willing to spend the money they spend on it.
You always hear about mothers throwing out cards when somebody goes to
college. If
college.
all those mothers hadn't thrown out all those cards, these cards wouldn't be worth what they're worth because there'd be a lot more of them. But there are more collectors all the time, so there's always greater demand than there's supply.
So do you expect it to keep getting more popular?
It'll go up and down. For instance, in the late 1970s, you could have built the modern day card collecting starts with 1952 Topps set. And that set runs about $25,000–$30,000 more. And the Mickey Mantle card is worth about $3,500 of that. Now that card was about $500 in the late 70s. It climbed clear up to $2,100, and then it crashed back down to $1,000 in 1981. Yeah. So it's just like the stock market crash. And what they said, well, there are more cards than we know of, and it dropped in value. The same thing could happen with
Yeah.
cards today. That's why we try and emphasize to people, collect what you want and don't think of it as an investment. Just buy things you want to have over time and don't spend too much money.
What's the most expensive card like ever made? Is there one that you can?
The Hannes Wagner card, which is the same, it's from the same series, which was put out from between 1909 and 1912. It's not the rarest card, but in good condition, there are probably 6 or 8 that are mint in perfect condition, and they sell for about $35,000 each.
One card. What about in the store? Do you have anything that has been
Well, I don't
comparable?
want to invite burglars and
Oh.
anything like that. But, no, our most expensive cards, we have some from the early 1950s, Duke Snyder and Yogi Berra that are worth about $250 each.
So those, you don't sell those very often. They just once in a
No, we
while.
don't sell those very often.
Who are the big players like that kids come in and looking for right now?
Well, everybody loves Don Mattingly and
Yeah.
Mark McGuire. Those are the two biggest. And Eric Davis earlier in the summer, he's cooled off a little bit since then.
Yeah.
Jose Canseco is still a favorite. I don't know if it's his name or what, but he's very popular.
Could you maybe let us in on some of the people that we should, if anybody collects cards, that we should buy that maybe isn't real popular right now?
Well, as you know, John, sometimes my advice isn't the
Yeah.
best, because last winter I had a chance to buy 50 Mark McGuire cards for 35 cents each. I thought that was too expensive, and that would have cost me $17.50, and now one of them sells for that price. So the people in the minor leagues that don't have cards yet, that people
Yeah.
think are going to be stars, are the ones they're going to jump on. Mark Grace, who played here, and Dwight Smith, who played here
For the Chiefs.
and they may be another year away from playing with the Chicago Cubs. And Greg Jeffries, who's in the Mets organization, he still may be another year away, but he's going to be a real good player. The Cardinals have some players, Lance Johnson, Alex Cole. They're both excellent prospects.
You got any big plans, big specials for Christmas? Like is that when the 88s come out, the new sets?
Some of the 1988 cards will be out before Christmas and some won't, but we'll sell the sets now so people can give them as Christmas presents, and then
Like pre-buy them and like.
right. I pick them up after Christmas. Additionally, we try and get a lot of things that can be different stocking stuffers and
Yeah.
other little sets and stuff like that. So when parents come in and say, I want baseball cards, that's what he wants for Christmas, baseball cards. And we also collect wish lists, which if you can come in and write down what you want. And if you're a father, you can come in and write down what you want, and the kids can come in and buy it for you later or something like that.
Okay, so what are the hours of the store? So if people want to.
We're open noon to 6, Monday through Friday,
Okay.
10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for explaining the hobby, and thanks for coming.
Thanks, man.